Hi, welcome to the next installment in the EpiDoc tutorials. In today's tutorial, we are going to talk about encoding a Latin inscription in EpiDoc. And my colleague Irene Vagionakis from the University of Bologna is going to give a live demonstration using the Oxygen XML editor to take an inscription purely as it would appear in print and turn that into EpiDoc markup. Remove all the human-readable markup, which is the Leiden conventions, and replace it with machine-readable markup. And at the bottom of the screen here is a link to the rest of the tutorials in this series if you're interested in finding more. Over to you, Irene.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I'm going to the guidelines and downloading a copy of the EpiDoc template, and you can find it here, the xepidoctemplate.xml. I have already downloaded it, and I have copied it and renamed with the name of the inscription that I'm going to encode, which specifically is one inscription from a Roman inscription of Britain, the inscription 1696, which is an altar dedicated to Silvanus. And this is the inscriptions that we're going to encode. And I have opened my XML file, so the template renamed, copied and renamed as reb1696 here. And I'm going to copy here the text of the inscription. So I'm copying it, and then I'm going to the point of inside the template where the text goes. So inside text, body, div type edition, XML space preserve in this case. Inside the AB anonymous block here, I can remove this Greek or Latin text here, and after the line beginning, I can paste my text. And I can also align it like this, just to have it in a nicer way. I'm also going to enlarge the font size a bit. Okay, so first thing that I need to do here is to have a line beginning for each line of the inscription. So I could copy here the first line beginning, which is already in the template, or otherwise I can insert one by typing it. So I can insert here line beginning and then add the attribute number with value 2. And I could do the same, but for doing it quicker, I will just copy, paste it, and specify the line number. Eight and nine. Then we notice that some lines, some words are on 2 consecutive lines. So we want to say that this line beginning is not breaking a word. So I can add the attribute break with value no. And in this case, I can remove the dash and also the space. So I can do this. So I've put the first part of the line beginning element where the word breaks. I've removed the dash, and I've put the remaining part of the element, that is the part with the attributes, in the following line, so that my inscriptions flows with each line in a different line, also in the Oxygen or in the XML editor, so that we can keep track of the disposition of the inscription. But this was not necessary. We could also leave the remaining part of the element on the same line. And now I'm doing the same for the other lines that have the same thing. So I can add break no here, and then put it here. And again with line 6. And also line 7. Okay. Then what else I have? Starting from line 1, I have a gap. And in this case, even if in this edition we have a similar notation for the lacuna in line 1 and the one in line 2, we can also see from the photo of the inscription that in the first case we have an entire line missing, and in the second line we have some characters, an unknown number of characters missing. So we want to record this semantically. So in the first line, we are removing this, and we are using the element that is for lacunae, that unfilled, unrestored lacunae, which is gap, which is an empty element. And gap also need to have a reason attribute, whose value in this case is lost. And then I need to specify the extent of the quantity of the missing text. So in this case, I'm using the quantity attribute with value 1, and then the unit attribute with value line. So one line is missing. Something similar but different happens at the beginning of line 2, where we have a gap, but in which we have an extent unknown and a unit character. So is lost. When the quantity is unknown, we use the extent attribute and not the quantity attribute, and the only value that is accepted here is unknown. So extent unknown and unit character. Now we have also some other lacunae which have been restored. So in this case, we have some missing text, but restored. And in this case, we're not using gap, but we are using supplied with attribute reason with value lost. So Marcus. In this case, as we are going to insert an element which is not punctual, which is not empty, but which is going to surround a portion of our text, we can use in Oxygen some shortcuts. For example, we can select the word and we can type on the keyboard Ctrl-E on Windows or Command-E on Mac for having this menu displayed, in which I can type the name of the element that I'm going to insert. So in this case, it is supplied, and I'm adding the reason, which is lost. And after that, I can delete the brackets. And I have two similar cases in line 8. As you have seen, I'm not following line by line all the markup, but I prefer to mark up all the similar features first. So I've done all the gaps, now I'm doing all the supplied, and then I will move to another feature. But of course, if you prefer, you can also insert the elements line by line following the disposition of the text. So here, another supplied. And another one. Okay, now we have a phenomenon that is very recurrent in Latin epigraphy, that is the abbreviations. We have several abbreviations here, and the first one is Silvano. On the stone we have just Silvan. And for the abbreviations we use expand surrounding everything, and ab for the part which is actually on the stone, and X for the expanded part. And after that, I can remove my round brackets. In this case, we have an abbreviation which is inside the restored text. So the editor here suppose that in the missing part, there was just the M for Marcus. And so inside the supplied, we insert the elements for the abbreviation. So expand, and X. Then we have two cases of abbreviations with more parts present on the stone and parts abbreviated. I'll do these two cases later. Let's do the simpler cases first. So here we have legionis. So again, expand, X, and also Auguste. So here we have beneficiarius, and of this word on the stone we have just the B and the F, and there is also a line beginning in the middle. But we do not have to worry about this because it is a punctual element, an empty element, so it can be included inside a wider markup for the abbreviation. So here I can select everything and then add my expand. And then I have to insert two abrs. So this for B and this one for the F. And then X for the two parts that have been expanded by the editor. And you can see that in Oxygen sometimes there are some red underline telling you that you are doing that there is a mistake, but it often happens because Oxygen is faster than us, and before even doing something, it already detects it as an error. But after Oxygen understands that it is actually correct, the underline disappears, as in this case. So let's do the same with consularis. Expand. Abr, another abr for the S, and it's here, and another S here. Okay, at this point we have another feature that we can mark up, which is the Roman numeral, which is which we mark with num for numeral, which can have an attribute value, whose value is 2 in this case. And if we have a look again at the image of the inscription, we see that this numeral has a supraline on the stone. So we can mark also this using the element high for highlight with an attribute rend for rendition, and we can see from the drop-down menu that we have a value supraline. And we have marked everything that was in this edition, in this text. But if we have a look at the edition, we can see that there are also some other aspects that we could consider. For example, in the apparatus, we have the fact that the editor is not sure about the fact that there is a line missing at line 1. It says that possibly there could be nothing lost here. And we could also, well, we usually put these things in a traditional edition in the apparatus, but with EpiDoc we could also include some of these pieces of information in the edition itself. For example, we can express the fact that we are not sure about the fact that we have a first line missing, and we can do this by adding a cert attribute here. So I am at line 1. Inside the gap reason lost, quantity 1, unit line, I could add a cert attribute with value low. And I could do the same also for other things that are in apparatus, but I'm not going to do them now. From the image also we could see some other things that have not been recorded in the edition from Roman inscription of Britain. For example, the fact that we have a hedera here, or a dot, a middle dot here, or there are also some brackets. We have an empty space here, here, and apparently also here and here. I'm just going to insert a bracket here, just to show you how to insert a bracket. Of course, if you're doing EpiDoc edition, you could either decide to follow a pre-existing edition, or otherwise to be yourself the editor, to base yourself on a pre-existing edition, but then also to add some other feature. As in this case, you can decide from the image to consider also the bracket and the signs that are visible on this image. So I'm having a look at the image again. Okay, so after the the numeral, I could add the fact that there is a bracket of 1 character. And for this, we use the space element, which is an empty element, for which I can specify the quantity, which I will say that is 1 character. So quantity 1, unit character. And I could have done the same also for the other brackets that seems to be in other parts of the text. Okay, so we have completed the EpiDoc edition markup of the text of this inscription. Gabby, do you want to add anything on this?
No, I think that's perfect. Thank you very much.